Yeah, we are good to go.
We're good to go. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Well, on that note, serious note there, I'm going to call it 3, 2, 1, and ready to rock and roll. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the ACCA Global Podcast. It's myself, James, here for episode 3 now. We've not been shut down. It's okay. We're on to the difficult third album now, but I am delighted to welcome the smartest guest I've had so far. He may have taken off his tie and his jacket, but still in the shirt. He is the smartest guest I've had on the podcast. I would love and welcome, and I'd like to thank him as well for coming on today in his busy schedule, Omer Zaheer Meer. Welcome.
Thank you so much, James. First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me on your platform. And I would also like to congratulate you for conceiving this idea and putting this into motion. Well, it just sounds like yesterday that we met, and you have grown in your career and profession so much since. It seems like ages have passed, like decades have passed, like you are turning into a really seasoned, mature, older guy, although you are not. So yeah, thank you very much. Good to be here.
People can, well, viewers can comment in the actual description to this. So a seasoned veteran now. I'm moving up in the world. This is it. You see, this is the pinnacle now. This is it. So Omar, where would you like to say? Where are you representing today?
Well, ACCA is a global body, so we love to say that we are global ambassadors. But let's just talk about, I was born in Pakistan and I was a teenager when I moved to UK.
Lovely.
I completed my studies there, worked there for better part of a decade. Then I moved back to Pakistan. I would love to represent both if that's possible. Otherwise, I'll just say Pakistan.
Oh, well, we're going to go, not to upset our Pakistani viewers out there. So I'm going with Pakistan. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah,
But no,
perfect.
thank you so much for coming on. And how many years have you been an ACCA member now then?
Well, James, I was admitted into membership in 2008. So this is the 13th year now.
13th year. Oh gosh, I'm in my third year now, so it's okay. So I've got a few more years in the tank, I think. So
You won't even realize. It would look like just it would pass in a blink of an eye. You'll feel like, oh, it was just yesterday. Believe me.
well, this seasoned veteran is ready for the challenge. But for
Oh,
the
wow.
yes, for the viewers out there as well, would you like to introduce how do we know each other?
I should do that. Oh,
Oh yeah,
okay. I'll do the
come on.
honors. Yeah. Uh, do you really want me to reveal all the secrets on
Oh,
screen?
well, we're done for now.
Yeah. Uh, well, it was a pleasure to meet James for the first time in ACCA's International Assembly, which is basically a gathering of representatives from across the globe, the chairmen and at times vice chairmen of ACCA's member network panel, member advisory committees, bodies representing ACCA memberships in different regional markets. Then we also have council members there and ACCA's executive team as well. So although I have seen James' work and I've heard about this rising star who's been doing really well in ACCA circles and who was lecturing and all, but it was quite a revelation meeting you. Seriously, while you had a funny side to you, you did appear mature and more seasoned than I would have given you credit for your years. So I think that was the first time we met, James, right?
It was. And all those senior people there, the viewers must be thinking, did they just put James in the far corner, make sure he's well behaved, sit at the back, sipping on some water? No, they put me on the stage to actually give a small talk in front of everyone, which I thought went down a treat. So yes.
Oh, that was fantastic. After that, we were actually saying, so do you think this guy did the surgery last year or the year before? Because he's certainly not the age he looked.
Well, you're now alluding to sipping away there. The one rule of the podcast is that the guest gets to decide what drink we have on the podcast as well. So introduce to the viewers, what have you selected today?
Well, we went with the tea, and James has been kind enough to allow me to keep on drinking mine while preparing for this podcast, while he has been saving his. You can see it there. All there, not a single sip taken.
I know. Now this shows my commitment to the cause. We've got the nice cup here for you. Look at this, beautiful, beautiful, and we have a nice sip now. So there you go. It's like lukewarm now.
I am really impressed you are able to drink that, because I think it's been sitting there for the last 30 minutes.
Oh, well, yes. This is where viewers actually get to know what was the actual prep time for this. And for anyone who has watched the first 2 episodes, know that we run on a strict 0 budget, bullet points, and yes, very well run in terms of it. So we had a good couple of minutes of telling each other what we're going to do, and then we talked about proper stuff. So that actually nicely leads us on to, though, our quick fire round now of our 2 options. And for the viewers, Omer does not know any of this in terms of it, so it could be quite interesting to see.
James, who's gonna believe you unless you tell them it was sitting there for 30 minutes because you told me, sir, not because I was there with you.
Well, there are only 2 options on the first one, and you don't know what the question is. So here we go. You've got to answer, and the viewers can make up their mind. So this is the first round about them getting to know bits about you. So would you prefer, or do you prefer, first of all, city or countryside? Which is your go-to?
Oh my God, tough one. Well, I'm a nature lover, so if I have to choose about living, it would definitely be the countryside.
Countryside. You see, I like the countryside as well. Beautiful. I mean, being from the UK, lovely and green, nice bits of wildlife. Can't beat
nature
it.
All around you, all the freshness, greenery. You just feel like you are alive.
Oh, when I go out running in the countryside, fresh air, lovely stuff. But we are both chartered certified accountants on here. So do you prefer now phone or computer?
Definitely my cell phone, my mobile, definitely. Any time of day. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know how we cope beforehand. They just do everything. So, that's okay. Oh, I agree with you on that. But coming back to being outside now, are you hot weather or cold weather in terms of stuff?
Okay. No, that's a tough one.
Oh, well,
you know,
I know it's pretty cold in Pakistan, so yes.
Well, actually, James, before I answer your question, you'll find it interesting, and we'll invite you to Pakistan. Pakistan is blessed with all kind of weathers. So we have a summer, which is like a really good summer. You can say quite like Spanish summer. So then we have winters, which are like really cold winters. We have monsoon when it's raining a lot. So we have autumn. So we have all kind of weathers here.
Oh, wow.
But I've just shared with you, I've spent my teenage years in London. So most of the time you have that light drizzle. And I actually developed, I know what I'm gonna say wouldn't make sense to most of you, but I kind of developed a liking for that. So that's the weather I prefer, which people normally refer to as gloomy wet.
Gloomy wet. Oh, lovely. Well, if anyone's a Peter Kay fan out there listening in, he does a classic joke on, it's the fine rain that soaks you through. But love watching comedians like him. It's great. But how was it when you went and studied in the UK though?
I was always very clear what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a qualified accountant. So when I was completing my ACCA, I decided I wanted to go to UK, work there, have some experience, complete my studies there. So I came to UK, ACCA was finalized. I went on to, we can mention other qualifications, right?
Of course you can. Yes, it's completely open. Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether you've got any sponsorship or not. See, I don't want to come on to toes of anyone, especially any sponsor you might have.
Well, we run on a zero sponsorship basis. If there's any sponsors out there who would like me to wear
That
their
is
white
James.
T-shirts,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Um,
Then you can place their logos yet there on the face on the white T-shirt, right?
Yes, yes. If we have anyone that hair products, anything like
Yeah.
that, maybe I could get a shelf in the back here. Taking over the world as ever. This is great. You
Wow.
see, new idea.
Genius. See, marketing all along.
You see,
Perfect.
yes.
Coming back to your question, so I was very clear, James, what I wanted to do. So I came to UK, my ACCA was completed. I started my internship training contract with UHY Hacker Young at that time. That was based in Chester. That's,
Oh,
yeah, that's quite close to Manchester. I'm sure you'd be aware of that.
oh, I know
Um,
Chester. Yeah.
yeah, great. Nice, lovely place, quite historic.
Mm.
I still remember it, still like it. And I'll let you in on a secret. Whenever I come to UK, I do visit it.
Oh, that's nice. That's all right. Well, if you're ever over in the UK, we'll catch up anyway. So that's all good. There you go. You see, that's it.
Yeah.
But
So,
so
yeah, so that was pretty much it. Then started working, gained quite a bit of experience, started moving up the corporate ladder as well. Then I had to move back to Pakistan. So that's pretty much about it.
oh, lovely. Oh, well, this actually, because I don't know, mine's changed on this answer as well. Are you a morning person or an evening person?
Wow. And you said they would be such nice questions. You
Oh,
won't
you
even
know.
feel like they're hard questions.
Oh, you see.
Yeah,
But these
yeah,
are
yeah,
these are the things that the viewers
yeah,
just don't know about us in terms of it. This is the whole point of the podcast, that
yeah,
viewers will add us on LinkedIn, will meet us at meetings, at
yeah.
ACCA events around the world, and it'd be a case of that's James over there who doesn't like going on skiing holidays.
Okay, great. I totally agree. Well, I'm quite flexible in it.
Yeah.
Um, if I have work commitments,
Mm-hmm.
then I become a really, really morning person. I mean, at times I even wake up at 4 a.m. and even before.
Oh, spot
But
on.
if I have some other work commitments or the the stage of my career where I'm at, we
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of corporate networking as well. And
Yeah.
many of these events go late into the evening and
Yeah.
night as well. So as a routine, I would say I'm more of a night person,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not really a problem. I'm flexible. Whenever my schedule demand, I become a morning person.
Oh.
So you get the best of the both worlds.
Oh well, we're going to come on to where your role is and all your
Yeah,
various things, because you are one of the busiest people people I know in terms of the amount of stuff you do, and also I have to mention fellow YouTuber as well. So but we've got to keep the fans entertained, because
yeah.
just give them nuggets in terms of stuff. But when you do have a bit of time, and in terms of these things, final question now.
Mhm.
Do you prefer
Should
reading?
I be really prepared for something big coming up?
Oh no, I'm
Okay.
interested in these things. Yes,
Okay.
and I hope the viewers are as well. But
Yeah.
with all the work you do you prefer reading or do you prefer writing as well? Because I know you create content, but I don't know if you
Ah.
prefer to consume it as well.
Hmm. Wow.
Ah,
You really are coming up with good questions.
you see, no, but this is what imagine you've got a young Pakistani accountant who's doing his F papers, and he's looking for someone to look up to, as to gets up
Yeah.
in the morning, well into his stuff. But I'll let you, for me, I'm more into my reading at the moment with some audio books and stuff like that. So for me, it's reading at the moment, but I do like my writing as well. So a bit of both, but more edging reading.
James, it's quite like you. I mean, you can't really write unless you have read sufficient or you are reading sufficiently. As we know, the learning never stops.
Mm,
When I was a kid, the first passion I developed was, it might be surprising for many people, was for books. I mean, when most of the kids would spend their money on sweets, on chocolates,
yeah.
I would instead go and buy a book and I would read that.
Mm.
And that
Well,
was
It,
my one passion, which
it,
has
it does
stayed with me.
help. It
And
does
that
help if
has,
you buy a book and
yeah,
read
yeah,
it.
and that has actually, James, culminated into writing. So I've been writing for all the major English language dailies in Pakistan.
Mhm.
I've been writing in research journals that go globally, like Blue Chip, which is a finance research journal. I've been honored to be writing for ACCA. I'm now even sitting on the editorial board of the Policy Insights, which is the regional publication, ACCA's publication for the MESA region. So on both sides, I'm very interested. I mean, I do know you might have a segment you mentioned when we were talking about other episodes where we'll discuss these books, and I'll share a few interesting words with
Oh,
our audience as well.
oh, well.
And the good thing to keep them engaged, they won't be accounting books. It would be other than accounting.
No, but you see, this is again coming on to the point of the podcast. You mentioned on there every day is a learning day. You know, the learning never
Yeah,
stops. That is one thing that I meet some students now. They think, oh, if I just finish my ACCA, then that is it. Or if I finish university, that is it. Every day, it's just every day there's just something new to get into, or someone will recommend me something to watch, and it just keeps going on and on and on. That's it. I mean, it's fundamental, your own personal
absolutely,
development. That's
absolutely.
it. So that
James, there's a saying, I'm sure it might be one of your favorite sayings, knowing your personality. The only constant in life is change. So if
yes.
you don't adopt, you die,
Oh
be it
gosh.
professionally or otherwise. So you have to constantly evolve, you have to
Mm.
constantly adopt, and that can only be done by, just like you have mentioned, constantly learning and upgrading yourself.
Oh, that absolutely spot on. It is a case of people just they underestimate what they can achieve, say, in a year, and what I find is they overestimate what they can do in a day. So
Yeah,
this is where New Year's resolutions come into it, and things on
yeah,
those lines, where people say, "Oh, this is the year," and then they don't actually get there. But then it's a case of take it just day by day, and just the little thing that I always got taught was just 1% better than the day
yeah,
before. And if you just keep
yeah.
that simple phrase going in your mind, you wake up just going, right, let's get started. Here we go again.
Yeah.
This is the standard. So,
You are really passionate. So may I ask if you are speaking from experience?
oh, I used to be, I used to be, well, time is your biggest asset. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's only until you understand when you waste time on things that just aren't
yeah.
important, to which you now go, it's a busy it's a busy day, isn't it, in terms of there are many things to do.
True.
Gosh, it's a case of from this morning, we did a talk out to students out in Malaysia, ACCA students there. I finished that talk, and then I ended up going for a run in between this podcast, and we finished this
Yeah,
podcast, then some family time as well, then we go out for a meal, and then up tomorrow morning. It's just
yeah, yeah. I know the feeling. That's great.
I know. Well, Quest University out in Malaysia. If you're watching this, there you go. You've got your shout out as well. So, whew, that's it. But you alluded to actually your role as well in there, and I know you are a very, very busy guy. So, coming on to the third part of today's podcast as well, because we're just moving forward now in terms of we're just
Yeah,
so professional on this,
yeah,
so
yeah,
professional. We're going to come on to now. It's getting to know my guest. So this is where on LinkedIn and other platforms, or if you meet people at engagement events, they might know bits about you, about sort of which firm you work in, but this is where the added value is more detail as to what you're particularly interested in, or what's the day in the life of Omer as well. So the floor is yours. Go on.
Oh, wow. Really honored, James. Mm, well, I think the most interesting part about my life is every day is dynamic. There are people who make a schedule and stick to it, and it's fantastic. I have the ability to be flexible about it. So the goals, the areas are set there. So one day I might be doing, okay, let's go in a typical day. There would definitely be time reserved for ACCA.
Hmm.
Every day, literally every day, dozens of students, members, affiliates contact me for guidance, for counseling, for mentoring. Then obviously I'm quite active on social media as well.
Yeah.
Then you are aware that I'm the managing partner at MLCC, Millennium Law and Corporate Company, for
Wow.
taxation and corporate services. And it's the pioneer ACCA and legal practicing firm, not just in Pakistan, but the entire region. So when the practicing license was launched, it was the first one who
Wow.
got that. Yeah, and I was the first one who got the individual practicing license. And our ACCA president at that time specially came to Pakistan to award that. It was really a great groundbreaking event. Certainly, it was a great leap forward. So other than that, I've already mentioned I write in several newspapers. I'm also invited as a guest speaker on various TV programs, podcast of big upcoming celebrities, global celebrities.
Well, I was about to say, this is all very good, but I'd just like to point out there for the viewers, this is clearly the highest point in your career. I mean, this is nothing like you've experienced
no doubt
before.
about that. No doubt. I mean, I would turn down BBC for this. No question about that. Definitely. This is the pinnacle of my professional achievement. And I feel so fulfilled. Finally, James has invited me. I've been wondering all these years, when will James start the podcast?
I know.
And once you announced the work, I was waiting, when will he announce? He is gonna invite me. And I was so anxious. Will he invite me? Will he not?
You're gonna have
and
to
finally,
you're gonna have to argue with my mum. She's there going, James, I need more time.
We'll be going down the wrong road there. But seriously, I think this is a good initiative. So coming back to the question you were asking, beside that, James, I was just sharing with you as well that there are certain things which are not on my LinkedIn profile, which I do as a way to give back to the society. I've been a visiting associate professor for some of the top universities in Pakistan. I've been associated with the Barrier University. I've been giving lectures at the UAT, University of Engineering and Technology, one of the largest, not just in Pakistan, but the entire region. Also, other big institutions, I've been working with the banks on their training needs, policy write-ups, etc. as well, with the IBP, which is basically the arm of the State Bank of Pakistan. Beside that, if we talk more about ACCA, then Pakistan is a key market for ACCA.
I get contacted by ACCA students from Pakistan. So run us through just some of the roles that you actually develop collaborations with ACCA and other sort of voluntary roles that you partake in as well.
Oh wow, this is gonna be a long question. Okay.
Well, this is the thing that people don't understand. That's it. So go on, take a big sip of tea. You'll be fine. Go on, you got it.
Okay, here we go.
Like clockwork.
Yeah. So, James, just so you have the energy to absorb my answer, why don't you take a sip of that cold tea sitting there, just showing us all your level of commitment.
I'm very committed. I'm a committed guy.
You actually drank that. Thumbs up to you, my friend. So coming back to James' question, well, most of you do know about many of ACCA's endeavors. ACCA is the largest global accounting body that has been ever there in the human history. So with regard to my commitments with ACCA and engagement, I'm honored to be the second time unanimous and unopposed elected chairman of ACCA's Pakistan Member Network panel. I'm also the chairman for the third time of the local taxation subcommittee as well.
They made lots of friends.
Yeah.
Go on.
Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes. We got Mark cut off for 1 second there, but most people assume though, is tax still deemed to be a bit uncool or not? Would you say?
Well, not really, because as far as this region is concerned, tax is the most happening thing. So World Bank has been engaged for a lot of reforms. I can see where you are coming from. I mean, if you talk about from a British or American perspective, maybe the market is more mature. It's more about just routine compliance. The planning might not be that much there. But if you talk about these markets, the emerging market scene
Yeah.
is entirely different. In fact, I don't know. I think I should let you in on this secret. Tax is the most lucrative part of any professional career in these regions.
Honestly, when I was studying, and you
Yeah,
have the, you have the option papers, you got the four to pick
yeah,
from. Honestly, if I didn't do taxation, the advanced taxation one, it's the most interesting one out there. And from all the CPD events that I go to as well, if I hadn't have studied that,
yeah.
that would have been seriously, seriously tough to pick up on. And yes, it's a case of, for anyone watching, do some research into it, look into it. You got everything in there: income tax, corporation tax,
Yeah,
everything. It's
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
but I don't think it's uncool. This is the other thing. You say to someone, "Oh, I quite like tax. It's quite interesting. It's really interesting for me, all the rules and regulations and stuff." And some people just look at you and go, "Oh no, something must be wrong with you." But I think you are right. It is something potentially
Yeah, yeah.
UK, US. But
Don't you worry. I'll give you a few insights, and people will start loving text. But just give me 1 second. The battery of my system is going down. I just need to push the switch. Be right back in a
that's
second.
okay, Omer. You see, I'll entertain the viewers. So this is where you now see that the podcast, we are just so official on here with our guests. You see, it's a case of we come across on LinkedIn with all of our professionalism, but we sometimes forget that we need our battery putting in as well. Plus,
No, the only reason is that we actually value James so much that despite a busy schedule, we just change the room at the last moment, and we don't even plug in the chargers so that he will have a perfect lighting.
you see, for the viewers out there, this is it. We go to the ends of the world, quite literally, to give you this entertainment with some ACCA sprinkle on the top. So there we go.
The level of effort that we have put on this, James, if you get any less than 10,000 views, I'm gonna sue you for this.
Oh my word! Oh, no pressure there then.
Yeah, not at all.
I'm gonna have to ask my grandma to keep playing it on repeat or something.
Okay,
Oh god.
but that was on a lighter note. Seriously, you are very right about that question about taxation. So most of the people even think that accountants are being counters.
Mm,
Accounting is a boring field. If we
mm,
are talking about the general perception, I think anybody who is aware of what's happening on the scene would not agree. I mean,
mm,
the modern accountant, I even term it as a finance professional, not just an accountant
mm.
anymore. So they are basically giving a lot of insights, the policy insights, adding value. The concept of the being counter has long gone. We have
Oh yeah.
automated processes, all these things happening. So it's the same thing in the field of taxation now. I mean, a lot of compliance has been taken over by machines.
Mm-hmm.
So the processes have been automated. You now really have to be on top of your game to be really able to add value. And there's a saying, my father has been telling me that since I was, what, I guess 2 or 3, and it has always remained with me, that there's always room at the top. So no matter what you are doing, if you are at the top, you are adding value, and without that, you can't be at top.
Mm.
You will always be in a good place. So I see youngsters, people coming back, saying whether this is a boring field, whether we'll do this, what will people think, or people say that whether we'll make sufficient money. I always give them 2 advices, James. Number 1, I tell them, first discover yourself. Do you like it? Is it something that you like to do? If you like what you do, you're never working. And then
Mm.
you'll go right to the top. There's no stopping you. If you don't like it, maybe your grandma asked you to do it, or your papa asked you to do it, or your mama asked you to do it. You might be a very good son, you might be a very good kid, you might do it, but your heart won't accept it. So you'll never ever be able to do justice with it or go to the top. So if you like something and you are doing it for the right reason, you will go to the top. As far as taxation is concerned, think about it, James. How do countries function? How do government functions? If
Mm.
there's no taxation, what would happen to societies? We need civilizations to work. We need modern societies to function. We all hate taxation, but we forget. Without that, they can't function.
Indeed. Wise words, I must say. You do realise there'll be young accountants out there who just, I can only advocate to listen to that advice because it's so key in terms of just making sure you do what you enjoy. I can't remember what the stat was in the US. I think I read an article on it the other day, but it works out to be just over 80% of people in the US don't enjoy what they do on a daily basis. I just can't quite fathom that in terms of you wake up every day, you go to work, you're not doing something you enjoy or love, and it's just, oh, we'll do it again tomorrow then. Oh, I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. But
Well, thank you, James. But in between our interesting conversations, we have left to fully answer the question you originally asked before
indeed,
we went into taxation in detail.
I know, but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter on the podcast because I bring it back from our lovely notes down here, so we're okay.
Oh, wow.
We're okay.
Yeah,
We're
you
on
love
the
that.
money. That's talk the viewers
James,
through.
I'm just wondering
Yep.
if we are able to get you a sponsor, the amount of effort you are putting in right now and the meticulous preparation you have, what will you do then? You'll do wonders, man.
I'm all ready. If the BBC are watching now, I'm all ready to read the news out for them. Put me on 10 o'clock with Hugh Edwards. You know, I'm ready to fill in. That's it. You know, we'll see.
Perfect. And I should be your first guest if you get the opportunity.
Indeed. Yeah, my specialist from Pakistan. But we need to talk about the International Assembly as well,
Yeah.
as we alluded to earlier. So another one of your ACCA advocacy roles. There are people who'll be watching this who probably maybe actually haven't heard about it, or they may have heard about it, but not quite sure what it actually entails. So
Yeah.
talk the viewers through actually what that role entails that you've taken up with ACCA.
Okay, so I was sharing that I'm honored to be serving as ACCA's current chairman of Pakistan MNP. So by virtue of that, we become part of International Assembly, which is, as the name suggests, an assembly of the international representation of ACCAs from all the key markets. So what happens is that we all get together with the ACCA executives, some council members, and will report performance of ACCAs, actually burning issues, potential opportunities. A lot of things happen. We get people like James who come over and pretend they are not their age and talk a lot of mature things. Then we have a lot of mature guys trying to lighten up the mood there. Then we get a lot of activities. We get the entire team gel together. And in between, without it feeling like a burden or work, a lot of policy work is happening. A lot of insights are being shared so that we are continuously able to think ahead and lead the profession just like ACCA says and does.
That's what it says on the tin, doesn't it? Gosh, no, it's from going on those days, the ideas that people bounce off each other and then how it develops the professional body going forward. It's why we just keep on going from next level to the next level.
It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's quite a different experience, James. All these different people, all these different cultures, all coming together, gelling together. Then the team's constantly moving. You're getting to interact with all these different people. You're sharing your ideas. You're getting the inputs from various other people, and a global policy taking shape.
Yeah.
I think it's phenomenal. I think it's, I'm going to say quite a big thing here. I think the effective way in which ACCA does, it makes it even a better experience than at UN, because people are not that much engaged there with each other. They are not really bouncing ideas and actually trying to find the solutions.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
UN is certainly, but the way ACCA is leading the profession, I wonder if other organizations were doing, where would we be together?
Oh, I agree. It's a case of as well. The other thing I like on those days is you can just stand up and go walk down and have a chat to, say, Helen Brand as the chief exec. She'll be there. Oh, morning, Helen. You're right. Yeah. And you've got a photo with her, I think, as well, haven't you?
Okay, I'll tell you the story of that photo, that quite famous picture. So the thing was that whenever I'll make a post on LinkedIn, especially about ACCA, Helen would be one of the first ones to like or comment. And
she does
that
it for
was
mine.
yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, that must be just by chance. Don't take it wrongly, James.
There you go. You see.
Yeah. So when I met Helen in my first international assembly, So I actually said to her that I was quite impressed considering that she is the chief executive of a global body and has undoubtedly tens of thousands of contacts, and then they have the Arthur system engaging with ACCA officials all over the world, and then she has her own commitments, and then she's writing and all that, and amongst all that she still finds time to do that. And I told her that I take pride in managing my time quite well and doing a lot out of that, but I was quite impressed by how she was able to do that. And this picture is basically a memory from that time.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, Helen is an absolute gem. She is. She's so lovely, down to earth, but the time management of the commitment she has is just second to none. It's, yes, absolutely epic.
Absolutely. And James, like the way she has taken ACCA forward, just look at the last decade. The way we are now leading the profession globally all across the world. Obviously, it's always a team effort, and that's what Helen says. But I personally believe that the buck always stops with the leaders. Certainly, it's the team effort, but without an effective leader, there won't be an effective strategy. So I guess we are lucky to have her.
Well, if Helen needs me for any motivational speeches, I'm fully available. So it's okay. Don't you worry about that. That's okay.
Right.
But now we're coming back onto the more personal side of it now. We're coming into, do I agree with you round? Okay. So I know, deep breaths, prepare yourself. I know it's been a long day, but these are open questions in terms of it as well. Okay. So the first one I ask every single guest. So I know you haven't been able to watch the first two podcasts, so you're off the hook on that one. But what is your favorite music or favorite artist in music? That if you could only listen to one artist for the rest of your life, who would it be?
For the rest of my life.
Yeah, who's your favorite artist? Who would you go for? And again, we've not rehearsed this either.
Certainly, I wouldn't be taking this much time if we had.
I know, you see, the viewers, they'll just know, you see. Well, I'll, as everyone knows, I'm a rock and roll fan. So if it's AC/DC, Fleetwood Mac, Toto, that's my sort of cup of tea anyway. So
James, with me, it really depends on the mood, the kind of mood I'm in. So you have made it really tough by saying going for the entire rest of my life with one.
Well,
but
talk us through then the options.
If I really have to make a choice, that would be Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan.
All right. Gosh, I've never heard of him, I'll be honest.
You must. He's been quite popular in UK too.
Oh, right.
What he did was he actually brought a real change within the music industry. So he took the Eastern music and he took the Western music and he did a fusion.
Right.
And it's been quite popular in all the. I remember when I was in UK and some of my British friends actually heard that he was coming over for a concert. They were more excited than me to go there. So that's the level of impact he's been having over the music scene. I would suggest after the podcast, just do a quick Google search, try to listen to a couple of his songs, his music.
Right.
But just be careful, try to listen to the later one, because in the earlier ones, he was on the pure Eastern side. Okay. I'm not sure whether that would be to your taste or not, but the later one, I'm quite sure you're gonna like that.
Well, remember as well, all the viewers who are listening can put in the comments as well down below as to, am I completely from a different planet to have not heard of this artist particularly? But I don't know. We'll see. But for anyone who is listening as well, put in the comments any other questions you may have that Omer and I can actually answer. We'll go through them and we're more than happy to help out, aren't we? So, question number 2 now as well. What is your favorite hobby outside of work? So extremely hardworking guy, but what's your hobby? What is your go-to for a bit of downtime?
I used to love to play cricket. Just crazy about it. So I used to get any free time. And if I had at least one other person available, I'll go play cricket. There was a time if I wouldn't have anyone available, I had this area where I could just ball myself and I'll just play myself, even if I wouldn't have anyone.
Oh,
But now, I find it more practical to watch movies, historical
right.
movies, documentaries.
Well, there's so many interesting things out there in the world, and Netflix and other things like that. Oh, hang on, we've mentioned Netflix sponsorship.
See, James, I knew it. You have hidden sponsors. See, they are
Obviously,
coming in your conversations. And
yes.
if you don't, man, you really, really need to brush up your marketing skills.
I know I need to get my marketing skills out there, but the array of information and stuff out there is just so vast. There's so
Phenomenal.
many interesting things that you can actually go into. It depends, but what's the most recent one you've watched then?
Well, it was a documentary based on space travel, and it actually covered a lot of endeavors of Elon Musk.
Oh right. Oh,
Yeah,
now he's a busy boy.
yeah.
Gosh, he runs two global companies and he's got so many commitments. I think his strategy is he has sort of naps in the day, I think it is, where he sleeps for 5 hours, wakes up first thing in the morning, and then takes tactical naps throughout the day just to regain some energy. It's really
Yeah.
interesting stuff. If you ever get a chance, and some of his quotes and ethoses, when he was first setting up PayPal, he used to rent out a room and had one computer where he used to work on it in the day and his brother used to work on it at night, and he used to have to sleep on the sofa. Yeah, and he had a girlfriend at the time, and he's managing all, and he didn't have much money, and it's just different.
Alan, if you are watching this, give this guy a sponsorship. And I thought I was the one watching documentaries on you. Thumbs
Hey,
up, James.
that's all right, that's okay. But well, I think we've alluded to the next question here. What is your favorite sport?
What? Ah, do I even need to answer that now?
The viewers might not know. The viewers might not know. You might say
Really?
you might say
Really?
you might say badminton.
Even after my last answer?
I've now upset all of the people watching who like badminton. But,
Yeah. Um, I think all the sports are phenomenal. They are fantastic. I used to even play football during my school days, but
okay.
if I really have to choose, I guess it's just a part of me now. It will be cricket.
Were you a batsman or a bowler or an all-rounder?
All-rounder, and all-rounder in the sense that I used to ball real quick, and I was told really good spin at the time as well.
God, you one-man team. Can you
Well,
wicket keep as
James,
well?
yeah, well, James, the way it happens is in Pakistan, the structure is not quite as organized as in UK. So you have we in UK, we have a really good county setup and all that. The current Prime Minister Imran Khan is now really reorganizing. But what happened in Pakistan is that people start off by looking at their elders and playing in their families. Then they start playing with their friends. Then it goes into neighborhood teams, then the school teams, and then they build out from there. So a part of that is that, especially if you are a younger one in the team, you are given different roles as per the need of the team. So like the team is a shorter spinner. You normally like to bowl fast, but they have senior players who are actually their go-to guys for fast bowling. So the only option will be you have to ball spin. Now, if you want to stay in the team, you need to get really good at that. So that's why you see people like Shahid Afridi and all that, and you are amazed. How do they get so much talent? There is not even a practical working local county system in Pakistan. So I'm sharing one of the key ingredient of success and secrets with you.
Oh, that's all right. How are we for time, by the way? Because I know we were chit-chatting. Are we all right for time in your busy schedule? Are we okay?
We are perfectly fine. We still have time. I actually kept 2 hours for your podcast because you told me 1 hour. So I knew that you're a guy who has such a huge fan following, and you are finally giving me this platform. Would I miss it for anything in the world? No, not.
You see, viewers, this just this is just made my day. You know, no matter what may happen, even if Leicester win today, Omer's made my day. That's it. So I'm a Leicester City fan. I know you mentioned football, but who is your team of preference?
Don't do that. So many friends will be upset from me.
I'm gonna.
I have a lot of passionate friends, especially in UK, who are crazy about their teams and clubs. And you know, one of the reasons that I'm the best friend with all of them is that I'm really into cricket, so I don't go there.
Oh.
But I'll give you a hint. You are an intelligent guy. Let's see if you find out. My favorite team in football is a British club, and that's one of the biggest cities in UK.
Right. It wouldn't be Manchester United, would it, by any chance?
You know what? Let's leave something to imagination. You have a good audience. Let them put in their comments what they think, and maybe in a follow-up podcast, I can answer this. Right?
Well, this is where, as a professional podcast host, this is where I just move it on into the next question. Obviously, you know, we'll just brush that to one side. But in terms of travel, though, because we did allude to the UK, where is the place in the world? I know it's been a difficult year, that you've always wanted to travel to? Where is on that bucket list that you've always wanted to go to that you haven't had chance to yet?
Mauritius.
Mauritius. Gosh, lots of couples go there. Is it still sinking, or is it just because of the sea levels rising, it's slowly being eroded away? I'm pretty sure.
That's one of the key challenges it's facing, but I just like the kind of atmosphere they have, the beaches, the nature. Initially, in one of your questions, I told you that I'm a nature-loving guy. So if I'll get any chance, I'll go there. In UK, one of the reasons I left Chester was I loved Chester because it was comparatively a smaller city, much more greener, less pollution and all that. London is phenomenal. London is the place you want to be if you are working. But I think, just like you also said, the fresh air, the nature, that's something that actually attracts me. So yeah, if I have to select just one place I can go to immediately after COVID-19, that would have to be Mauritius.
Well, for all of our Mauritius fans out there, gosh, people, you know, he needs looking after. Please, you know, we can have a plea on the podcast, but, you know, look at that, please.
Well, so have you been to Mauritius?
No. But I was doing research the other day that they actually run a marathon out there. Even though it's tiny, they actually do a little marathon out there as well, which I found amazing. It's a tiny place. But
don't you find this amazing, James, that although we have not prepared for this session, I didn't know your questions, but whatever I'm giving the answer, you have done research about it, be it Elon Musk or Mauritius. So now I really have to check my place where you have hidden your spy cams. Because the only other explanation is that you can go in people's heads and you can just read the thoughts.
Wow, it's the power of being a lecturer, I'm afraid. You get this, you know, telepathic cyclops sort of, you know, mindset in terms of, I can feel it now. That's it, you see. But speaking,
you see, I'm just feeling your waves coming here, entering my mind. Yeah. So let's move on to the next question before I feel that anymore.
Wow. Yes. Well, we're going to come on to now the actual main part, the actual insights. We're talking about the mind in terms of it. So you're dabbling into your experience, your insights, and anything that you and I find particularly interesting to talk about. But the one thing I'm pretty sure the viewers will want to know about, you've got so many commitments. How do you manage time?
The golden question. And by the way, James, that's the question that I've been asked the most. It's not really that difficult. You just have to be organized. You just have to set your priorities right. And you have to actually try to discipline yourself. So work out what is most important. Put that in the order of priority. And then after a while, it becomes habits. For example, I know I have my work commitment. I have my ACCA commitments. I'm also on about a dozen think tanks boards. I'm also actively engaged in various social initiatives as well. I'm also on the board of the local tax bar, the tax
Hmm.
bar associations. I'm also chairing the tax clinics at the local chambers. So then I'm also writing and I'm also reading and all that. And very important, you must always keep, no matter how busy you are, some time for your family and some time for yourself. If you don't do that, you're just gonna come crashing down.
Completely agree. I mean, and have you ever heard of Tim Ferriss by any chance?
Yeah,
His four-hour work week and actually prioritizing time and getting things out. For viewers out there, if you don't know who he is, pop on to other sites or anything, because obviously we haven't got sponsorship for that,
yeah, yeah.
and do a bit
But
of
James,
research into him.
but
Very
James,
interesting.
there's one thing which especially your younger audience would be interested in. There are different phases of life. So the more you walk up the career ladder, the more support you have, the more work you can devolve. But
Mm,
initially, you have to do a lot of work yourself. There are
yeah.
no shortcuts. One of the
Mm,
problems that I've seen is that with so much information overflow, so much expectation from so much media, all these things, people somehow start believing that there are shortcuts. They just see the tip of the iceberg, the
mm,
success, not the road, not the journey. You will have to put in the hard work. You will have to put in the effort. There is no shortcut to that.
mm,
Even if by a stroke of luck you are able to achieve success, without that, that would only be temporary. That won't be lasting. So the reason I'm mentioning this is, James, that yes, when you are at a particular phase in your life, you might go for those strategies, 4-hour work week, all those things. But particularly early in your career, you'll have to work very hard. And while working hard, you'll have to also work smart to
mm.
divide your time in different areas. Um, the thing is very simple. You have to see what your journey is. So right now you are sitting in which city? I didn't ask you.
I
That's
mean,
important because I'm about to relate it with my example.
oh right, well, England, UK, aren't I? So Lincoln Way.
Perfect. So you might decide you want to go to London. You'll
Hmm.
calculate what is the journey, what mode you are taking, how much effort it will take. You might decide you want to go to New York or Lahore for that matter. So that is a longer journey.
Hmm.
You'll need to put in more effort, more
Hmm.
planning, and then you'll be traveling for a longer amount of time. So
Mm,
you can't just look at any one person because one size does not fit all,
mm,
but you can look at the goals, the principle, and remember the strategies that you might be reading. They might not be most suitable for where you are in your careers and
mm.
lives right
Oh, completely agree. One of my mentors just said to me, James, it doesn't matter what other people are doing. It's okay that they're on their chapter 20 or chapter 19. You're starting on your chapter 1. It's okay. You are going to
now.
get there. It's just you just got to put in the work. That's it. So, and
Perfect.
and from being a runner myself, it's a case of it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's it. So it's just.
The best thing you get from sports. But James, when you were saying one of my mentor, I just thought you're about to refer to me, and then you just broke my heart.
Oh, but I said mentors. Yeah. It's a case of I can ring you up anytime. It's okay. We can have a chat about anything. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. Well, we'll have to get you on in. You're not on Instagram or anything like that, are you? Or
I'm mostly active on Twitter and LinkedIn, and the LinkedIn is where I give my most time personally.
yeah.
So I try to make sure I read each and every single message, and I literally receive hundreds of messages. But
Hey.
I respect that anybody who is giving me the respect to try to connect. It might
Mm,
take a bit of time. I might not be able to do it within an hour or the same day, but I
mm.
do that, and I make every effort to make sure that I reply to each and every one.
Completely
So
agree. Yeah.
as you can appreciate, that takes a lot of time. But obviously, I can't say no to the in making Sir James Wright. So if you say, then I'll make an account on Insta too.
Well, I'll put all of our details in the description below for anyone viewing as well. So they're more than welcome to connect. But My standard is the exact same as yours. I reply to absolutely everyone who gets in contact with me as well.
Fantastic.
And when I meet people at networking events or anything like that, I say, oh, you connected on LinkedIn. And someone mentioned to me the other day, oh, I received some rubbish in my inbox. So I don't really check it or anything like that. And the first thing that just went into my head was, well, that opportunity's gone. That opportunity's potentially gone. That's gone. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
little
exactly.
things. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, James, look at it from another perspective as well. There's one perspective, and that's absolutely fine, the professional one. All these are different opportunities. But there's another saying. I was just at a motivational session for our ACCA members in Pakistan yesterday. And while talking to them, I told them one thing, which I'll share with you and your audience. We are humans, and in this era when materialism and life has become so fast, materialism is so important, at times we lose sight of some of the things that make us human.
Mm.
So I'm not saying materialism is not important. Obviously it's very important. You have to survive, you have to progress. However, what's important is your intention. So for example, why I respond to everyone. I respond to everyone, number one, giving them back the respect. Number two, they might be in need, they might be in trouble, and a few minutes of my time might make a big difference in their life. Although my intention is this, James, and I'll be rewarded for my intention, the opportunity would automatically occur. However, if my focus is only on the material or pragmatic aspect, then what would start happening? Maybe some years down the line, just like the guy that told you, one would start thinking, okay, it's not worth my time, I shouldn't be doing that. And then that's a cycle, because they'll be thinking like that. The very thing because of which they are thinking, the opportunities, they will be start losing that. So I think we are going into the philosophical sphere here. So I'll give it back to you to move on.
Wow. Wow. No, it's all about mindset and actually looking after yourself as well, and actually working out where you want to spend your time. That's
Yeah,
another
yeah,
thing in terms of it. And other things about if you're hearing from and hanging around with, say, positive people, if you hang around with 5 positive people and they're all urging you on and being actually really nice and actually encouraging you to actually achieve your goals, before you know it, you're going to be waking up in the morning before your alarm clock and off you go because you don't want to let them down. But you can see how some people may get into a negative spiral where the
yeah.
opposite could be from that as well. But I completely agree where even if I just answer someone's message on LinkedIn, I send the correct ACCA link or I send them over to one of my videos that will help them out. It's just a nice little thing that you just do. And yes, it's a tiny bit of time, but there's so much reward out of it that, yes, it's very
I,
nice.
I, I totally agree. I couldn't put it even any better than you did, James. I'll just quickly share a small incident with your audience that would really exemplify this. So in Pakistan, I did one thing with ACCA. We had a challenge that we face in most countries because of the lack of local taxation advanced variants, that ACCA members, obviously ACCA is a world-class qualification, and it's really thinking ahead in terms of the challenges, but taxation and laws are based on taxation and laws.
Yeah.
So if you have not covered that, you have not covered that. So the local bodies normally try to play on that thing, especially because ACCA is such a dominant global body, and we know how business is. Different thoughts come, either it's collaboration or it's competition.
Yeah.
Collaboration is always winning. But coming back to the point, so the challenge in Pakistan, like many regional markets, was that ACCAs were not recognized as tax experts. In fact, I was, if I remember correctly, when I went to my bar for membership admission on ACCA basis, I was the first ever ACCA member who went there. And though I had other qualifications, I'd only mentioned ACCA. And I was told that I was not eligible. It didn't make any sense to me. So I actually pulled out the constitution, James, and guess what? ACCA was mentioned there. So I went back to the president of the association and I told him, hey, Mr. XYZ, won't be appropriate taking his name now that it's going global on a platform even more powerful than BBC. So have to keep everyone's confidentiality intact. Anyway, James, I told him, Mr. ABC, I was told that ACCA is not in there. but look here, ACCA is mentioned. He said, well, you know what? You are the first ever ACCA who ever came. I said, fantastic. You have to start somewhere.
Mm.
He said, well, there is a lot of pressure from the local bodies. So this and that, right and left, beating around the bush. I said, look what? I'll keep on coming back. It would be a headache for you. So why don't you do one thing? You have a provision that all applicants will go through an interviewing panel. All the past presidents of the local body who are opposed to ACCA is being given admission because they believe they are not tax experts, make a panel of these and put me in front of them. One of the two things will happen. Either I will pass that and they won't have anything to say to you, or I won't be able to pass that and I won't have anything to say to you and your life would be happy. He thought about it. He said, oh, it makes sense. Then James, there was a 3 hours interview session. And by the end of that session, all of them became my friends. I was the first ever ACCA member admitted. And later on, I took ACCA there and got MOU signed for ACCA's recognition. And we built on that. Now, thank you. Now, the thing I actually wanted to mention was that when this was happening, I realized that we had a serious issue, a big gap to bridge. So I proposed to ACCA office that why don't we do CPDs? Whenever we have an advanced version, advanced taxation variant, that's a long thing, a lot of processes involved. So why don't we do CPDs?
Yeah.
They said, we don't have anyone to do the CPDs. All the local tax guys are from the local body and they are just not willing to do that. I said, okay, I'm willing to do that. And James, in the first year, if I remember correctly, we did about 70 CPD sessions, and they were not 1 hour CPD session.
Wow.
We used to do full day CPD session, 8 hours long.
You see,
and then James, I put the recordings publicly free of cost on YouTube. And when I did that, a lot of people came to me and they say, what are you doing? Telling all the business secret. Anybody can go there and watch. I said, yeah, that's the whole point of it. They said, then what would be your specialty? If everyone can do everything, what will happen? Which was very novice to say. I said, look, 2 things. Number one, I'm doing that with a good intention and to give back to society. And if people get equipped, that's better. But think about it logically too. The bigger the size of the cake, the bigger the pie for everyone. The more stronger the market, the stronger the economy, the more the economic opportunity. And guess what, James? All those people who used to tell me not to do that are now following my way just to do that. And by doing that, we have helped so many people. The reason I shared this is that it ties up with what you were discussing. When you are doing something right with the right intention, the opportunities will automatically accrue to you. But you'll feel your heart is in the right place because you are giving back to the society. And I'm proud that you are already doing this, but few years down the line when you'll definitely be at a higher pinnacle of your career, always make this a part of you to give back. Not only will you feel more happy and satisfied inside, you'll feel your life has a meaning, but you'll see that more opportunities will start accruing to you too. So that's my advice to all your audience out there. Over to you. And sorry for such a long, detailed answer.
You no need to apologize. Good grief. I mean, very wise words there. But also alluding to, lots of students say, oh, I don't like the 3-hour exam papers that we have to do. Well, those 3-hour exam papers, I'm sure, very much prepared you for that long interview where you go, look, I've sat these papers that were over 3 hours. This 3-hour interview with you guys is going to be a walk in the park. That is nice and easy.
Very, very, very interesting. That's one way to put it. But the real motivation, James, was that I really felt like something of my own was being hurt. I believe ACCA is our alma mater. It was very easy for me. I could have mentioned my other qualification and just get done and over with it. But I felt this was not right. ACCA was mentioned there. I believe it's a world-class qualification. I believe it equips you. And if somebody has that and the local knowledge, then they should be allowed in. So that's why I felt this was the right thing to do. But on a lighter note, you are absolutely right. Those grueling 3 hours under that exam pressure prepares you for anything in life.
Oh yeah, well it's so rounded as well because you develop so many skills from it that you then put it into practice in the workplace with your personal development on the side, and it's just you just go on to just different levels in terms of it for me anyway. Especially since I've got qualified, I've found that you always
Exactly. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
Just about the SBL, the
Yes.
ACCA has done this. I think this is phenomenal. I mean, the actual application from the real life, from businesses, it's not just theory or not just your imaginative application, but actual real life scenario, making you prepared just after the qualification. You walk out and you are ready to meet the needs of the businesses, addressing the biggest gap. Normally, what's the problem? The businesses say we are not getting the right quality, the people that we need, the people with the relevant skill set. And people are saying, well, we are not getting the opportunity. So I believe these initiatives are fantastic, in line with ACCA's thinking ahead and bridging that gap.
Yes. Oh, SBL. If I had to say to you one exam that I get the most amount of queries on as to, James, what advice would you give? Because I did P1, P2, P3, and now they've combined them to SBL and SBR. And it's definitely those two are just they've taken it on to another level. But it's good because that is the standard that the industry expects. And say if a young ACCA member came and worked with you, that expectation is there. That is the thing. So I completely agree with you. That's it. But yes, long are the days gone when we've done those exams. But I know that we've got to talk about the future though, because we have touched on it in there. Where do you see the accounting profession going forward, or what sort of advice would you give to a young accountant who wants to, how should we say, make it big, shall we say, in the profession? Where do we think it's going?
I think these are fantastic questions, James, and very, very relevant. So first things first, the profession certainly is moving forward, just like in line with the rest of the world, becoming more technology driven, more automation. So the traditional roles are going to change. If somebody has been thinking about a traditional compliance role, maybe 5-10 years down the line, that might not exist in the traditional sense. Just like we touched upon it before, it would be more towards value addition. So the term of the future won't be professional accountant. It might be something like finance professional, strategic thinker, something along the sort. And that is where you should build your career. These skills would be very important to equip you with the necessary tools to be able to do that. But the focus would shift from just traditional compliance or checkbox approach. I believe to a large extent it already has. And the shift of the focus would be adding value plus getting used to the technology. So that makes relevant the mention of ACCA's certification in big data, digital technologies, etc. That would become very, very relevant. So just like James, there was a time when once you qualify, you should be aware of some of the major accounting softwares. So in future, you should be aware of all these major tools that are happening, how to apply them, how to use data analytics, and use the results for your businesses.
Oh, you touched on their data analytics. For anyone who's listening now who may have an interview next week or has got to impress their employer, data analytics would be one I'd go online and research. Blockchain as well is another up and coming area, and artificial intelligence as well. If I had to pick three, they'd be my go-tos in terms of what is out there. And if you go onto the ACCA's website, they've got webinars on there that are recorded. There are in-depth articles as well. It's an abundance of resources that I feel is sometimes a bit underused. So it's sometimes a case of just guiding potential members, new members, part qualified members. They are on there for you, and some very good bedtime reading, isn't it?
It is, James. I just take the liberty to mention, we from ACCA's platform I was honored to do the session on these topics, and they are available on ACCA's YouTube channel as well as my YouTube channel. And I'll give you the link. You can upload on the Sir James Wright channel as well.
Oh, far off a sir, I'm afraid. It's
Yeah.
it's Commander James.
James,
It's all
James,
right.
you have to think big, my friend. They say aim for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll hit the stars.
Oh, you see, gosh, words of wisdom, just every minute on the podcast, gosh. But so, Ed, are you in your firm? How's the firm looking then going forward?
It's been really good, although we all know that the entire world faced something of an unprecedented phenomena, the COVID-19, the lockdown. I don't think there was any region or country in the world which was not impacted in one way or the other. So just like rest of the world, Pakistan was also severely impacted. However, the strategy here was slightly different. There were smart lockdowns. So while there was a major hit in the economy, it wasn't as bad as in many of the countries where there were complete lockdowns. Going forward, we are thinking about doing something unprecedented in Pakistan on ACCA funds level. And it's something we have been asked not to disclose publicly yet, but at your platform, I can mention that it was, I think it will be a phenomenal initiative involving ACCA, especially in this part of the world. And it would be something that would really push forward the agenda of ACCA practicing firms. As far as MLCC is concerned, Millennium Law and Corporate Company, the pioneer ACCA and legal practicing firm here. Well, we have a policy where we prefer ACCAs. The majority of our partners are ACCA. The overwhelming majority of our staff are ACCA. And if any two people are equal on everything else, we always prefer to hire the ACCA. So that is like ACCA Central. And plus we give, we give all the preferences we can to ACCA, we groom, and plus all the things that come naturally, the mentorship, the grooming, the career guidance, etc., etc. And the good thing is this, James, that now MLCC is spoken of in the taxation circles as a key benchmark, and thereby the association with ACCA is reflected. So ACCA is taken in that light. And it's a big thing. Just the other day, I was speaking with the head of ACCA Pakistan, and we were talking about 6-7 years down the line when we started all these initiatives. And we said, look how far we have come from a point when we were facing this to a point now when we are invited as experts on television programs, on national networks, on taxation bars, etc., etc. And let me tell you, James, I'm not satisfied with this. This is just the beginning. Our journey is much, much ahead.
Well, I'm delighted to say that obviously, as you've appeared on today's podcast, you have hit a new height in terms of your accomplishments. So it's I know it's all well and good appearing on television, but this is it. You see, this is it, and it's
nothing beats this, James. Nothing beats this.
Well, for any young Pakistan ACCA members out there, or students as well, there are qualified members out there who you can reach out to, get involved with your local network panels, or just drop people a message on LinkedIn in your local area. And it's a case I always find with ACCA and the connections is they might not know the answer that you're looking for, but they will know someone who will. That's the other thing. And it's just that first step of reaching out is always the important thing.
Very, very well said, James. Very wise words.
You can have that from me.
You speak like this, James, and then I doubt the age that you tell me you are.
I'm getting on a bit now. I'm getting on a bit. I know. I'm falling apart. This is what happens,
No, James, no, not at all. It's all about company. See, the more time you spend with me and other people like me, the more wise you get, the more you learn from us, the more you develop yourself. Now, I'm kidding. You already are good enough. That was just on a lighter note. Or people would start thinking, okay, self-praise and all that.
We're fine. Well, you did touch on, obviously, and we'll draw it in now as to 2020 has been quite the year. But what's the main thing that you've learned this year overall from it? What are you going to take away from this year that's, I wasn't expecting that to happen, or?
expect the unexpected, and be prepared to adopt.
Change.
The only constant in life, change.
Yes.
Lucky for us, James, in Pakistan, the firms are much different than we are used to in UK or the US. So, especially in the field of taxation, automation and distance working are not that big a thing. Lucky for us, we already were doing that. So, working from home was not even a big thing in UK per se, let alone other part of the world. But we were lucky that we had the systems and infrastructures already in place much before COVID. So when this COVID hit and there were lockdowns and precautions, we were lucky. Not you can say lucky, but then you can say you were prepared as well. So that's why they say luck is created when you are prepared for it. So we were prepared and we were able to better cope with it. And why was that happening? Because looking at the challenges and the changes, we were trying to constantly upgrade ourselves, evolve, and constantly bring in the new technologies and the ways. So when COVID hit, James, we already had some people working from home. We already had the infrastructure for that. We already had our online servers where all the client information were going in a confidential manner with all the data protection and safety that was needed. So without missing a day of work, we were able to immediately continue work while sitting at home.
Lovely, gosh. It's just being adaptive as well, or showing adaptability in terms of it. That I'm afraid quite a lot of UK firms, for anyone listening who works at a UK firm, found that it's very, as you know from working that, very office focused, with a few people that might work from home if they have other commitments, say child commitments, family commitments, or care could be another one. Whereas to flick the switch and then to say within a week to say you're all working from home, and the infrastructure in place, it's for anyone out there who's in a managerial or a senior position, it's a case of thinking strategically and then obviously also operationally as well. But the strategic thinkers and the people who did well out of it all were already thinking about these things 2 or 3 years ago, exactly what you're describing. So
precisely. And James, COVID just made us realize that the people who were thinking that this is possible were right, because even the people who were not adopting were forced to adopt. But the problem was that they were late. So there were challenges, costs involved, delays, problems. So you are absolutely right. If you are thinking ahead of the curve, just like ACCA thinks ahead, then you are able to lead.
Oh, you see, it's just like you've said these lines before on TV or something on those lines. But anyway, we move on.
I'm just a natural, and these are all coming from my heart, exclusive for the James Wright podcast.
Oh, well, no, it's not called that. Oh, no, it's the ACCA Global Podcast. That's the main thing. Gosh,
wow. Okay,
I know. Well, I'm hoping we're going to have a an ACCA member from every country who comes on here, whether I've met them face to face or they've connected with me on LinkedIn or anything on those lines. So as ever, if you are listening, all the details from today's podcast are below as well. Omer, are there any final words of wisdom you'd like to share with the viewers for today, or
before that, just one suggestion. Why don't you name it something like ACCA Global's Evening with James Wright, Coffee with James Wright, or James Wright with ACCA Global, something where we can have a little bit of James as well, while showing that this is getting ACCA Global together.
Well, yes, but
people can actually comment here with their suggestions about the name of your show, and you might actually choose which is the best, and you can even announce a gift for the winner, whichever comes with the best idea.
I thought you did tax, not marketing. Good. Where's this all coming from? Well,
if you have to be a good entrepreneur, in addition to being really good at the technical side, you need to be at least fair enough, good enough marketer.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to reading all the comments from people who have watched today's podcast as well. I must say, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But the rule, as well, as you know, is that everyone who comes on the podcast, I plant a tree for you as well. So Omar, this is your tree, and unfortunately for the viewers, this is
What happened to my tree?
this is the acorn, but it was on the stalk. Look, it goes on there. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it fell off in my pocket. So I have got
Oh,
your acorn, and
okay.
it's look at that. It's ready
Yeah.
to go. That is going to be planted and potted, and you'll have your own tree here in the UK. So
Fantastic. And you're gonna send me the pictures
oh,
as it keep on growing. And the next
indeed.
time I'll be there, I would actually visit to see whether it actually exists there
Oh, of
and
course
whether
it
you
will.
have taken proper care of this.
Oh
So
yeah.
you're not gonna just plant and forget it, right, James?
Oh no, no,
Now this is my tree.
they're
Put
going.
put a I'll come there. I'll meet the tree.
Yes, you can't dig up your own tree
James,
though.
let me just add, I've thoroughly enjoyed today's session, and I think the format has been really good and fantastic. And let me tell you, I've attended so many events, so many TV programs, but the things that you have discussed, some of the questions have been really, really exclusive. I've never shared them at any platform before. So the credit goes to you. And I think it's really good through your podcast, you are bringing the entire ACCA community across the globe together. So while I'm sitting in Lahore, you are sitting in Lincoln, and people all over the world would be listening to this. And I think we can even take this forward. This is not the end, just like people will be commenting, we can do a follow-up. And if they need any guidance, maybe people from Pakistan would be sending comments to you, or maybe from some other countries in the MESA region. I'll always be there to respond. You can always pick up the phone call. You are connected on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, everything. And I think we can add more value. And thanks to all the attendees who listened to this session. And I think you found this interesting. James being a funny bone, and although nobody can match, but I tried to just keep up the pace with him. And along that, we tried to deliver some bits of not too boring words of wisdom, some life lessons, some motivational tips. So we believe these have been of value to you, and hopefully we'll stay in touch. And please, please, whatever you do in life, do what you like, stay motivated, and always, always give back to those less fortunate or in need, and give back to the society and profession. And together we can all make this world a better place.
Oh, fantastic, Omar. I must say, well, if the viewers want to come and watch us at our event that we will be holding in the future at Mauritius, where we will be on stage together, that'll be our venue for us as well, where we can
Yeah.
do a duet act in terms of it as well. But for everyone listening, and I must say, thank you so much to my guest today, Omar. I must say, and of the way of the world now, as the Zoom calls and the Teams calls that we go on, I have to say thank you and give you a round of applause, as this is how.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to you, James. I think you deserve even more applaud, not just for conceiving the idea, but putting in all the effort and making it happen. I know the amount of work goes in, even in just coordinating. So thank you again, and congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you
Have a
very
good day.
much. Oh, gosh. Well, thank you for everyone for listening in today. If you would like access to all of my free materials, all you need to do is subscribe. The button is at the bottom as well. If you have enjoyed your insights today and our company, give it a thumbs up as well. I mean, we'll answer all of the queries at the bottom, and it'd be absolutely super to hear from you. Well, have a nice day, everyone. Good luck for 2020. If you've got an ACCA exam, good luck with it as well. We've had some words of wisdom there. But as always, on that bombshell, we will see you next time. Thank you very much. Cheers.